Hey everybody, today is the 27th and I have an article for you that was today, the 27th. Before I begin, check out Coffee Brand Coffee, use the code hammertime, and yeah, think of me every time you drink a cup of joe. So, the article today comes from The Guardian. It was printed today. Democrats issue fresh calls for assault weapons ban after shooting tragedies. Questions also raised about the funding of law enforcement agencies in places that refuse to enforce so-called red flag laws. I actually read through this article just a few moments ago and noticed so many errors. Like right here it says 2 weeks, and I was saying 2 years. I was struggling. So, I'm trying again. Make sure to give this video a like, share, and subscribe because I try on these. And comment if you see anything that I screw up on because I probably will continue to screw up. But if I get 1% better with every video, then by video 100, it'll be 100% better. That's not how percentages work, but we'll go with it. Gun control returned as a leading topic over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, with Joe Biden and other prominent Democrats issuing fresh calls for a ban on assault weapons for the general public. At the same time, questions were raised about the funding of law enforcement agencies in places that refuse to enforce so-called red flag laws after shooting tragedies in Virginia and Colorado in the last 2 weeks. Haha. All right, red flag laws, in case you don't know, allows the police to come and seize guns from somebody they deem is scary or dangerous, or somebody put in a report saying you're going to be a menace, so we have to come and take your guns, basically. All right, so if you passed an assault weapons ban, you would see less mass shootings in this country, Connecticut's Democrat U.S. Senator and leading gun control advocate Chris Murphy said on Wednesday. He added, you are not going to magically eliminate mass shootings, but an Armalite 15 or Armalite 15 style weapon is generally the choice of mass shooters, unless it's a handgun, right? And they keep throwing this out. This is AR is a brand, Armalite. 15 is the classification, that the 15th version of the Armalite rifle. And this just means a scary, dark gun that looks scary. Or it looks like it might be a military-style rifle. Okay, such a military-style rifle was used in the shooting at a Alphabet nightclub in Colorado last weekend. Although different firearms were used in the shootings of University of Virginia's football team players earlier in the month, and a Walmart store also in Virginia 2 days before Thanksgiving in a tragic spate of violence. So, 2 out of 3 of these shootings were not with an Armalite 15 style weapon, but a military-style rifle was used in a shooting by a person pretending to be something they weren't. That club was to hold a, how do they put it, family-friendly drag show that this bar was going to do. I don't know if it was the same night. I believe it was going to be the following night, and so like on Saturday night there was going to be a drag show, and on Friday night they got shot up, something like that. It was I think everyone in my audience knows what I'm talking about, and anyone that stumbles upon this video probably would too. So, the Democrat lawmaker pointed to a dramatic decline in mass shootings after the decade-long assault weapons ban passed in 1994. It wasn't until the expiration of the ban that we started to see mass shootings spiral up. With Biden returning to the White House on Sunday afternoon after spending the Thanksgiving break with his family in Nantucket, the gun issue returned to prominence. I am going to come back to this. So let me I'll just highlight that for a moment later. On Thursday's Thanksgiving Day itself, Biden spoke about the scourge of gun violence, saying he wants to sign into law a ban on high-powered guns that have the capacity to kill many people quickly. Which is, yeah, anyway, so the idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. Just sick, Biden said. I'm going to try to get rid of assault weapons. I'm going to come back to this, too, in just a second. I'm just going to read past this first. Just follow me for a second. The Democrat-led House passed legislation in July of 2022 to revive the 1994 era ban on assault weapons. It lasted for a decade, so it lasted to 2004. So it is now 2022. Those of you that want to do some quick math, 2022 minus 2004. Yeah, that's right. 18 years. It took them 18 years to decide that they wanted to get it back. So, let me read this again. The Democrat-led passed to revive this ban on assault weapons, following the passage of a landmark bipartisan bill on guns, strengthening the background checks and red flag laws, which allows authorities to remove firearms from those posing a danger. So, they waited 18 years. 18 years of potential mass shootings getting worse and worse and worse. And they're like, oh, well, we're about to lose the House. We better pass this thing right now that allows authorities to remove firearms from people we see as scary. Now, I'm coming back to this now. The idea that we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. Just sick, Biden said. I'm going to try to get rid of assault weapons. Does he not know what a semi-automatic weapon is? If you get rid of all the semi-automatic weapons, you're only going to have automatic weapons. Or what's the alternative? How do they classify guns? How do Democrats classify guns? Do they know nothing about guns? A semi-automatic weapon, or gun, is one finger pull on the trigger and you get one bullet to exit the barrel of the gun. It's not like it's... Okay, even Chuck Connors used a semi-automatic rifle in the show. The Rifleman. Each time he cocked that thing and pulled it back, it would fire one bullet. All of the bad guys on that show, with their revolvers, would pull the trigger once, they'd have to cock it and pull it again. Is that what he's suggesting? Should we all just go to shotguns that we go out our back door to fire twice? Because he said that too. If you fear like somebody's breaking into your house, just go outside the back door and fire a shotgun twice into the air, potentially unloading all of the shells within your shotgun. But that is also illegal to just fire your shotgun into the air, so that's really bad advice. A semi-automatic weapon is a necessity, and the way this country is going, it may be more of a necessity now than ever. But the legislation is going nowhere in the Senate, where it would need 60 votes to pass, and Democrats lack Republican support, because Republicans understand that if you put a gun-free sign... House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn admitted that an assault weapons ban and other gun restrictions would not get through Congress. So we're just wasting time. Even in the lame duck session, while Democrats still control the House, but that did not mean it was not worth pursuing. Wasting taxpayer money. Just, hey, let's illegalize farting on the moon. Because that's the equivalent. I mean, we're just going to... It's not going to pass, but it's worth pursuing. Because we don't want the moon to smell like farts. Anyways, so... Just because it's legal to buy a gun doesn't mean it's the right thing. Slavery was legal, but it was not right, he said. Explain how stupid, utterly stupid this statement is. When the Second Amendment was written, we had just fought a war with a tyrannical government that did not want the populace armed because they feared a rebellion. And we won our independence. Right. Now, because of that, we knew that the time may arise again when a tyrannical government comes around and decides that guns are a bad thing, and we want to disarm you, and only the military will have guns, and only the police will have guns, and probably the CDC. Because that's just... Oh, IRS, yeah. The 87,000 IRS agents, they were running training on how to... That was funny. Look it up later. Okay, so... It's not only legal to buy a gun, it is so that we might defend ourselves when necessary. Slavery was legal, but it was not right. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. People aren't property. A gun is a piece of property. So you could also say just because it's legal to buy a car doesn't mean it's the right thing. They probably already a gas-powered car. They're probably already saying that, and they might. Yeah, this will be the new substitute. Just because it's legal to buy a gas-guzzling Hummer doesn't mean it's the right thing. Slavery was legal, but it wasn't right. I mean, false equivalency. Anyway, so Murphy, who has been the Senate's leading advocate for stronger gun control since at school in Newton, Connecticut in 2012, also told CNN on Sunday that one avenue Democrats might pursue is to restrict federal fundings for law enforcement in counties that declare themselves gun sanctuaries. But that nightclub place, we learned in Colorado that the county in which the shooting happened was a so-called Second Amendment sanctuary state, Murphy said. The majority of counties in this country, which laws? And is it because of George Soros-funded DAs that they aren't going to enforce these? There's no reference. There's no citation that tells us, where are you getting this data? You just declare that a majority of counties in this country have declared that they're not going to enforce state and federal gun laws. Well, we aren't enforcing voter integrity laws either, or border laws to be enforced properly. There's no reason why somebody should cross our border illegally. No, stay on subject. I'm going to finish this article. These articles are shorter than the other ones. It's a growing problem in the country, and we're going to have a conversation about that in the Senate. Do we want to continue to supply funding to law enforcement in counties that refuse to implement state and federal gun laws? Why, that's silly. Red flag laws Murphy added, had proved wildly popular across the county, but we have to do something about the refusal by 60% of counties to enforce gun control laws. Yeah, 60% is that majority that he was talking about. And where is this coming from? Like, where's your sources? On NBC, Kentucky Republican Congressman James Comer said, in respect of any additional gun regulations, we already have many gun laws on the books. True. The number one priority with respect to crime in America for Republicans is going to be the fentanyl crisis. With respect to the traffic in illicit drugs across the U.S.-Mexico border, maybe we should have built a wall. People always break into your house via the door or the window. Rarely do they come in through the wall. Right? So NBC's Meet the Press host Chuck Todd, the one with the hair plugs, noted to Comer that the states that have the most gun control laws have the least amount of per capita gun crime, and the states with the least amount of gun laws seem to have the most. So there is a correlation here. If you have more gun-related laws on the books as you state you have, fewer gun-related deaths. So that's been proven statistically, but we can't show you the statistics, and it's a load of crap because, I mean, like, look at Chicago, look at Baltimore, look at what's going on in New York. If you have if you have the strictest gun laws on the books, like in Chicago, you should have zero gun-related anything going on. But for some reason, they are the number one place to get shot or shoot somebody. Oh yeah, New Orleans is in there somewhere too. Comer responded that in rural America, most households had guns, and there are not a lot of crimes because criminals know people are armed. So, basically, in rural America, there is a sign, an invisible, imaginary sign in front of everybody's yard that says, gun-toting zone. Whereas in front of every school, we have a sign that says, gun-free zone. Now, criminals are going to crim, but they don't want to get shot. They know their aim sucks, but they don't want to get shot. So, to avoid getting shot, they go to a place where there are less guns, not more. That's why you don't see a lot of farmers getting robbed at gunpoint, because the farmers have guns. I think Gina Carano did a movie recently defending her house with guns against men, because guns make women equal to men in ability to defend themselves, or better to defend themselves, because a man can't overpower women. We aren't the same. So, if we get rid of all of the guns, let's just say we were able to ban all of the semi-automatic weapons and all of these made-up word assault weapons. So if we got rid of all the guns, then we'd just have an epidemic of stabbings, like England does. And we'd still have people getting shot, but it would be by criminals, with people unable to defend themselves. So that's the sort of America they want. They want us completely defenseless, injected with whatever, compliant. Yeah, I think I've rambled on this video enough. Don't put up a gun-free zone in your yard. Put up a sign that shows a German Shepherd with a laser cannon, and he's also sporting a machine gun, and he's pulling a cart full of ammo, and I think the criminals will get the message. If we did ban all of these guns, then there might be a lot of assault hammer... No, I'm done.